take the next step.
Yeah.
And then I was on the phone with somebody who actually had a major impact on my life. And he had said to me, he's like, honey, you need to stop being such a princess. You need to be a queen bee.
I love that. Love that.
He's like, yes, you're sweet and you're nice and people want to do nice things for you because you're like a little princess. He's like, but you have to be a queen bee.
Yeah.
So that they take you seriously and eventually you can be a good leader.
Uh-huh.
This is
very wise.
Yeah, this is something someone said to me very early on during Cascadia, and he was a consultant working on a marketing like a design project. And at the end of the day, it stung a little. I'm like, oh, Darius,
right.
But now I totally get it, and now I say that to people.
Right.
Right.
Now you're paying it forward.
Be Beyonce, like.
Yeah, exactly. Because she got a lot further than person B who stayed a princess, right?
Exactly. Like being like, so that one there is really funny. But what coming down to having grit again and being uncomfortable, like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times me and Vish go somewhere and if someone says, oh, they're the ones who own a wine business, and the first thing men and women will do is come up and shake my husband's hand.
Yes.
Hey, nice meeting you. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your business. He's like, the gal is right there.
Mm-hmm.
And these type of things still happen in the beginning. It would make me feel really uncomfortable. And I'm just like, say lovey. It's just how it is. I've come to accept it. And I have the grit to say, hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah. I'm the CEO of VJ. Yeah.
And, we've had times where someone said, oh, so this is what you do. You just pour wines now. You are a wine girl. Yeah, and I also import them into the country and distribute them to over, 35 states and in retail shops and buyers.
Yeah.
So not just a bartender.
Yeah.
And it usually comes from, honestly, it comes from men and women.
Yeah. And I'm sure there are people who are A, jealous, B, insecure, C, just don't really understand the business or whatever. So lots of things, but.
And I've actually had males that refused to purchase from me because I was a female run business and they wanted to purchase it through my husband instead.
Wow.
It's pretty, you know what? It happens. It's pretty backwards. Still.
Yeah, it is.
Some things are still pretty backwards, but at the same time, but then for that, I have all these other awesome males that make up for it. I have male allies and advocates, admirers who say, BJ, you're doing an amazing job. And they're 30 plus years into their wine careers. And so the good makes up for the bad.
That's good.
And that's how I look at it. It's not my end all. Like I do get some, and that's why I said for the grit, like if you're going to make it to the top and you're not afraid to do it, you have to have that unwavering determination. Like, okay.
And not let that define you. Like, you can choose to take on that identity as a wine girl, or you can choose to create a different identity, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think it comes in your personal life too, right? People will say things to distract you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Or
do things to distract you or hold you back or hurt your feelings because, hey, we can't catch up to where you are. Stop.
Right. Right.
Back. You're way too ahead of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's when the nastiness comes in. But I've learned to walk away with it from it, and in business and in my personal life. And I just keep looking at the high road, and like it hasn't stopped my climb.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. I mean, I'm sorry that you've had that. I think unfortunately a lot of people do, especially women. I think there's a real double bind for women as leaders, and it manifests in so many different ways.
Right.
So is there any other advice you typically give to a female entrepreneur would want to give?
As another female, I just want to roll down to that question actually, because I feel like I wrote down something really important. For female entrepreneurs. Yeah, I'd already mentioned having a reciprocal relationship because I think female entrepreneurs can be perceived to be taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is still very much a backwards mentality that we're weaker than our counterpart. And there have been times where I've had a smart aleck ask me to do things or like I've had, competitors call and ask me to sign contracts so that I couldn't sell into specific states that I already sell into. And they don't even sell in those states yet, but like they feel that they have that right or power.
Yeah, they're entitled to that.
Very entitled to that. And I don't think they would ask a male counterpart to do that. Mm-hmm. I've even called and been asked for licensing paperwork so that they could start their own businesses using my licensing paperwork. You're going to get stuff from the counterpart that is going to make you think like, do I have stupid written on my head? Mm-hmm. Does female scream stupid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's why I got into the habit of having reciprocal relationships, so that if I know that I'm offering that person, man or woman, something, and vice versa, so that everything stays balanced and in harmony, because otherwise you can be taken advantage of, whether it's your age or your gender. So for females, I think it's super, super important. I really walked away from Tony's Workshop with that, and it has helped me it's helped me so much. But the other thing I would say to females is definitely have mentors. Any entrepreneur, have your mentors, because I think I had that in my early 20s, and it changed my career from the get-go. And it set me up for such a strong leadership mentality. Because there's so many things that nothing's going to prepare you for the highs and lows. It's not all butterflies and rainbows. It's not. Mm-hmm. You've seen me at my tasting events. I don't taste at my tasting events. I'm on. Mm-hmm. The moment I set everything up, and from until the moment the last person leaves.
Yes.
And then I pour myself. I'm working.
Yeah.
I remember one time Vish was pouring, and he had a glass of
being a hostess, and this is, running a business.
Yeah, exactly. And like, even when I go to business meetings or wine tastings and I'm with a colleague or a business partner, I don't drink my glass of wine. I'm on until that meeting is over. And then I'll pour myself a big, juicy, dirty red, and I'll kick back in a chair by myself somewhere and be like, okay, guys, I need a minute.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So I think, just all the highs and lows. So I think that was really important. And I feel like it was another really important, so this is a really big one. I think this was one of the ones that impacted me a lot too, is to not take rejection personally.
Love that.
Yeah, because when someone is turning down your offer, especially when it's in business, it definitely, most of the time, it doesn't have anything to do with your smile, your shoes, your laugh. Mm-hmm. I mean, unfortunately, sometimes it can have to do with your gender or your age. Yes, I understand that. And that's someone you don't want to do business with anyway.
That's right.
You have to look at it that way. I think, not trying to get religious, but I think when the higher power or the universe just naturally weeds the stuff out that you don't need, and that's weeding it out. But rejection is not failure, right? It's an opportunity to go back to the drawing board and broaden your perspective. One of the things early on in our business was when we were setting up our Canadian wine import business, I had gone to a big wine conference. It was like a big annual wine conference. There were tons of buyers there.
And that could be a little intimidating.
It was intimidating.
Yeah.
But, I had my game face on and my closing deal shoes, which is my stilettos, close the deal shoes. It makes you feel powerful.
It does. It makes you taller. It's good.
It really does, right? Yeah. All of those things. And so a broker happened to introduce himself to me and Vishal, and he said, "Oh, so where are you guys from?" I said, "Oh, we're from the U.S." and this was actually in Canada. And he said, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "From the U.S." And he's like, "Oh, I do a little business with the U.S. with wine and da-da-da-da-da." And I said, "Well, this is our idea. We're going to import Canadian wines into California and then distribute it throughout the States." And he just, and he was listening very attentively, and he was very sweet. And all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, good luck with that." And he smiled and he walked off. My heart sank into my stomach, probably burned away with all that acid. And I just I thought in that moment, it was hard for me that night. It was hard for me. But then what I learned was, just because someone doesn't value your idea doesn't mean that your idea is invaluable.
That's right.
Because that happened to me 3 years ago. And over the years, I've just taken time to package myself properly and showcase myself to the right audience, and have their buy-in.